You have to let me share. Yes. When I first read this years ago, I still remember one description here, quite early. First of all, just the list itself is very nice. Like some weeks ago, I shared this with my friend. It's also mentioned in Madhya 14,167, and this is the list. That there are 33 main Vyabhichari bhavas. Vyabhichari literally means either like a departing wave. It's like a splash, we can say. It's like a splash. We have the ocean and then sometimes it splashes up. Sanchari has several translations. One is that it sancharayate iti sanchari. It starts or moves a little bit, so it starts some movement. And we have 33 listed here, although later we'll have several more added. So these are coming from Bharat Muni, and the list is, first one is disappointment, lamentation, humility, guilt, fatigue, you know what's fatigue, yeah? Intoxication, pride, doubt, apprehension, intense emotion, madness, forgetfulness, disease, confusion, death, laziness, inertness, bashfulness. Bashfulness means, you know what it means? Timidity. Yes.
Inertness.
Inertness? In Sanskrit it's jadya, not moving, inactivity. Concealment, remembrance, argumentativeness, anxiety, thoughtfulness, endurance, happiness, eagerness, violence, haughtiness. Haughtiness is kind of pride. Envy, impudence, dizziness, sleepiness, and alertness. So when I shared this list with my friend, he said, "Whew, I didn't know. I'm in ecstasy all the time."
Sleeping.
I'm in ecstasy, I didn't even know. 33 times, you just have to know the exact, the correct number. You know? You don't say I'm tired, you say I'm in ecstasy number 6. Don't say I'm mad, you say I'm in ecstasy number 14. Yeah.
Forgetfulness also.
Forgetfulness. Plus also, when I still remember humility, a sense of weakness caused by distress, fear, or offensiveness is called humility. But even more interesting is guilt, when a person blames himself for committing an inappropriate action. His feeling is called guilt. So, on reading all these, I remember I thought, maybe I do have some spiritual life. There is so much. That's familiar. Somehow familiar. Who had something similar when you first encountered this section? Yeah. What was your impression when you first encountered this section of the Vyabhicharis? 33 plus 13. Do you remember some impression from that?
Never come to this part.
You have, I somehow could, where is it? Find only this. In Croatian. I don't know if somebody had, and I cannot copy properly. It cuts the special characters.
Will you share this?
I tried, let me try again. I should go here. Okay. You have it? Okay. And it begins razočaranje. Razočaranje, not razočaranje. In Croatian you say razočaranje.
Oh, nije hrvatski. Yeah, this is not Croatian.
Okay, this is, also it's ambrosia, it says ambrosia. So I think you have, do you still have ambrosia on the box or the nectar?
No, we have nectar now.
Okay.
But we have nice translation by these ladies from Goloka Dama, new Croatian.
Yeah?
Yes, they probably have PDF or whatever they could give you if you need it. Because they worked on it.
I guess everybody from around this area will understand. Maybe you not clearly understand. Also you, yeah. It's quite amazing that these are. It begins with disappointment, nirvada, lamentation, and okay, humility, that's already maybe more advanced, okay. But disappointment and lamentation, I think it's a pretty famous state of mind in this material world, right? Being disappointed and lamenting for this or that. Of course, our Rupa Goswami has to even offer an excuse why this comes first. Nirvada. Nirvada is a very interesting word, disappointment. Sometimes it's translated as detachment. Disappointment in the sense of you are disinterested, not interested anymore in the material world. Right? But this is a correct translation, disappointment. It has many translations, that's why it's very helpful if we read the Sanskrit too and read the definitions. And Rupa Goswami offers an excuse why it is coming first. He says because Bharata Muni, the author of Natya Shastra, which creates the framework for the drama book that Rupa Goswami is using, puts Shantarasa first, and in Shantarasa, Nirvada first. And Nirvada, again, even in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have many verses using this word, Nirvidyamana. Etan Nirvidyamana, even in second canto about the holy name, for those who are detached, to mean that they are disinterested. So it's a famous word, and it can mean detachment, and detachment is a big part of Shantarasa, and because Bharata Muni writes a material drama book, not a spiritual Shastra, so therefore he respects Shanta very much. You may remember that Bhaktivinoda Thakur puts Shanta as the top of the material ideals. A person, basically that's a saint, yeah? A saint who is super peaceful. In the material world, that's extremely high. And in the material world, but in the spiritual world, Shanta is the bottom of the bottom. So much so that some devotees don't even want to consider this to be a rasa. They say, you have only 4 rasas. Shanta is... Although we will see, I mean, for us disturbed creatures of the material world, this is rather disturbing that freedom from disturbance is excluded from rasas. I want to be free from disturbance. So therefore, at the end of this Southern Ocean, Rupa Goswami will say, no, it is the basis of all the rasas. Shanta, peace, and among other things, because of the freedom from disturbances being disturbed by the material things, by the material triggers. That's why he says this is basis of all the other rasas. Shamoman nishtata bude is quoting 11:19:1 from the Uddhava Gita. Any comments so far? Any comments, questions on this? Alles klar. All clear.
There in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the Arjuna's feelings, do they have something to do with this Nirveda?
Nirveda. Yeah, in the beginning, yes, he has. Yeah, that's in chapter 1 and in the beginning of chapter 2, I think, pointed out by Shri Baladev and Madhusudan Saraswati, based on the verse that better for us to give up our kingdom and live by begging alms. So he says, it illustrates this Nirveda detachment.
It's not Vishada?
Vishada is lamentation. That's the whole chapter 1, yes. Chapter 1 is Vishada, yes. Thank you.
And here Bhanuswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita into disgust, self-disgust. As a translation for Nirveda.
Nirveda. Okay, yeah. That's disgust, I would probably avoid.
Self-disgust.
Self-disgust, okay, self-disgust. If you go to the Latin disgust, absence of taste, maybe that would make sense. Otherwise, does anybody have tissue?
I can go get it.
I forgot my glasses. Just today I was searching for a quote. Actually, I was listening to Srila Prabhupada and I came upon some passage that I wanted to write down. Why don't I have it? Because it's okay. Yes. So I probably should copy this. Oh, well, thank you. Very good. Maybe you can also do the honors. Sorry. So here is a quote from Srila Prabhupada from one of the lectures. He has many lectures like this. I was often quoting this section. That maybe you have heard that Prabhupada is saying that yoga means plus. Not minus Maya, but plus Krishna. Maybe you have heard this expression, right? I think Shachinanda Maharaj likes to say, his favorite quote is,
Might need soap.
Okay, thank you very much. Huh? 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. No, 2 plus 2 is 4, 5 plus 5 is 10, and everything plus Krishna is Vrindavan. Nice quote, right? Nice, like an aphorism. But I could not find the exact statement. So this is something close, where Prabhupada says that the Mayavadis, because they have poor fund of knowledge, they think that if again there is Leela, there is sporting, there is dancing, then it is Maya. In their poor fund of knowledge, brain cannot accommodate that Krishna's Leela and this Leela are not the same. So they want to just stop, no more Leela. And Prabhupada says this is like a diseased man. He is always drinking bitter medicine, lying on the bed and passing stool in the bed, Hare Krishna. Very miserable condition, so he wants to commit suicide. He cannot understand that after being cured from the disease, he will eat very nicely. He will lie down on the bed very nicely. He'll have no miserable condition of life. He cannot understand. He says, again lying down on the bed and again eating, oh, this is Maya. They do not know that. Therefore, they are called with poor fund of knowledge. They think that by avoiding this lila, making minus, making void, making zero, we become liberated. No, that is not liberated. That is a disgusted negation only. Okay, so here you go, disgust. And that, probably I should have copied this. This was from Srila Prabhupada's lecture in Vrindavan, 74. Another one, very nice. Anyway, this all brings us to the point of these vyabhicharis. In the material world, they are miserable. But in the spiritual world, they are different, and you please tell me how they are different in a moment. Here you see Prabhupada, another quote from Srila Prabhupada's lectures. It's even put into a book. Real yoga means connect, plus. He's playing on Hindi and other Indian languages where yoga means sum, plus. Yoga means subtraction or minus. In mathematics, we have addition and subtraction. So at the present moment, we are in subtraction. God minus myself, or even worse. I mean, that doesn't afflict God, but if myself minus God, it's less than nothing. I have no sense of God, therefore I am in a minus condition. Yoga means God plus myself. That is the real meaning of yoga. For so long I was God minus. Now through yoga I become God plus. Congratulations, dear God plus people. People God plus. Now, yeah. So, how do I connect it to the topic of our today's discussion? What's the connection?
We need to find something positive from all these descriptions.
Positive through these descriptions. Descriptions of what?
These emotions.
Emotions, okay.
These emotions become ecstasies when they are connected with Krishna.
They are ecstasies when they are connected to Krishna, yes. What else can you say about these emotions and minus and plus?
We should not destroy these emotions. We should not go to a state where we have zero emotions.
Yeah, we are not looking for being completely emotionless. Right? You can see that in the spiritual life we have so many emotions. So these are listed. Basically, you can see that here Rupa Goswami practically copy-pasted from drama, 33 spices. He just copied and pasted them into Krishna Lila. And he finds all of them plus more. But they are, so in other words, he's not saying minus, minus, minus. He's saying no, plus, plus all of these, but they are all plus Krishna. And what's the difference? Can you please, based on our discussion of the five ingredients of rasa, what are the 5 ingredients of rasa?
Vibhava,
Vibhava,
Anubhava,
Vyabhichari, Sattvika, Staiva. Okay. So these are Vyabhichari bhavas, so one of the 4. And what's the difference between material pride and spiritual pride? Material forgetfulness and spiritual forgetfulness. Material confusion and spiritual confusion. What's the difference?
Krishna is in the center.
Krishna is in the center, okay. Krishna is the
Object of.
Object. Yeah, Krishna is the object. So in the material world, I feel all of these as a result or in the process of trying to enjoy everything, being in the center. Whereas in the spiritual world, the unwavering flow is to make Krishna happy. Actually, Mamchayo vyabhicharana bhakti yogina sevate. Actually, it makes for a nice pun, nice play of game of words. You could say that Krishna says, one who serves me with bhakti yoga imbued with vyabhicharis. It becomes transcendental. But in the Gita 14:26, Krishna says, Mamcha yo avyabhicharana, one who serves me with the undeviating bhakti yoga. Becomes immediately free from the material world, from the influence of the material world. But these emotions are called vyabhichari bhavas. Means they make one deviate from the steady condition. So they seem to be the opposite of what Krishna recommends in the Gita.
Interrupters.
Like how?
Interrupting.
Interrupting, yes, interrupters. Interesting, yeah, good word. They interrupt the steady flow. Apparently, on the face of it. But that's just the external surface of it. In actuality, they are adding spice. Anybody?
Steadiness is.
Huh?
Steadiness is boring.
Well, yes. Anyway, I remember from my childhood cakes, nice torte, yeah. And in the cake, I would always look for an apricot. Because it has a lot of this sweet, fatty cream. And it's like, okay. All right. Yeah, it's, torta, cake. It has to be there, right? But then you have sweet and some super, sour apricot. Oh, then you mix and it's very nice. I don't know, that's my experience. What's your experience? What are you, what are you looking for in the cake? I usually give the example also of chocolate. Chocolate. As somebody joked, chocolate is a very famous carob substitute.
Who said this?
I think Shirama. That
was Sridhar Swami's favorite. He always called chocolate carob substitute. That comes from Sridhar Swami.
Oh, he really? Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Our Jolly Swami. Makes sense. Yes, he's Thank you. Thank you for. I stand correct. Yeah. So it's probably one of the most famous sweets in the. Or one of the most popular sweets in the world nowadays, but it's actually, the taste of chocolate itself is very bitter. It's very bitter. It's almost like impossible to eat pure, whatever you call it.
Cocoa.
How?
Just pure cocoa or
Pure cocoa, yeah.
cocoa powder.
So it's very bitter. But on the other hand, we are not famished, so and we do not eat just pure sugar. To the best of my knowledge, nobody's eating just sugar, right? But if you combine this sweet and bitter together, it becomes something very flavorful. This reminds me, I also, in connection with these vyabhicharis, reminds me of how I went for a walk above the sea in our BBT, and just at that time, laurel was flowering. lover. Yeah. Have you smelled the flowers? It's white and very special, nice smell, aroma of laurel flowers. And it was many flowers and right near the path, so I brought one to the temple, and then my friend came out from the kitchen. I said, look, this nice flower. He smelled it and said, you know, why is it so nice? I said, oh, why a flower is nice? He said, because it's sweet with a strong note of astringent, bitter, and whatever else you have in laurel. And because it's mixed sweet and some of this, it becomes very attractive, very fascinating and intriguing. He's a cook, you know, so he knows. Cooking is, culinary books are called Rasa Shastra. So cook is Rasika, has to be Rasika. Rasika is good. It's very, it's one of the most Rasika places in the temple. Yes. It's under the auspices of Srimati Radharani. Kitchen, yes.
Office, huh?
Under auspices, under their protection. That's her domain. So these are the spices. These are the spices that you add to the sweet rasa. It's infinitely sweet. But if it's only sweet, you know, who eats sugar? Even you just take, instead of sugar, you take molasses or gur, you know, these, and then because it has some of the other additional taste, it's interesting. Like you take date palm gur in Mayapur. Anybody try? You try, yes? It's very chocolatey, very special flavor in that gur, date gur. So that's interesting. Any comments?
Yeah, I was thinking how there is a verse there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, maybe a little bit later in that section, where it is explained how Krishna enjoys the bouquet of this bouquet, whatever is the pronunciation, of Radharani's emotions, which are like all kind of vyabhicharis mixed together. And it's said there that he enjoys that more than when he touches her. Like,
Kila Kinchita.
Yes,
that's cool.
Kila Kinchita, yeah.
That's a special combination, Kila Kinchita, yes.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing.
Maybe it shows that he likes our emotions, he enjoys in our emotions when they are connected with him. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for bringing this up. This illustrates that these emotions are part of, or they are within the framework of vibhava. Yeah, so of the 5 bhavas, vibhava is Vibhava is the riverbed in which this rasa is flowing. Sthaya bhava is like the whole body of water, how it's flowing. Yeah, this is sthaya bhava. This is the main over the king of all the taste, the main rasa, the main taste. Which, you know, what do you call it? Shall we call it jam or shall we call it chutney? It's not the same. What is the sthaya bhava? Then vibhava, where is it flowing from and where is it flowing to? Do I try to enjoy or do I try to give pleasure? So in terms of vibhava, what you mentioned, that these emotions are also there for Krishna's pleasure. They arise for Krishna's pleasure. Okay. So these are vyabhicharis. So what we gave two comparisons to these vyabhichari bhavas. So one comparison is vyabhichari bhavas are like
waves.
Waves, thank you. And the other comparison, they are like spices. Thank you. Spices and waves. So waves, not just small waves. Sometimes it's like a splashing, jumping waves, with, you know, when it turns over onto itself. Strong waves. And spices. What is your favorite spice? Don't say.
Parsley.
Yes.
Sugar.
Without salt, everything is
Salt. Yeah, salt. The very word celery comes from the word salt, because it used to be how they gave celery. They gave salt. It was very expensive. That's why Columbus went in search for India, to bring spices.
Salt.
Salt was locally available, but cloves, some peppers, and what else?
Chili.
Saffron.
Chili.
Chili, I
Wasn't
think.
discovered yet, I think.
Yeah. But mostly saffron, cloves, maybe this cinnamon. So these they were brought from. They were
Saffron.
saffron. They used to bring them from India, and this was actually still, like, saffron is more expensive than gold, pound per pound. Some spices are more expensive than gold. Till today, till now. And so in those days where they didn't wash hands in Europe, it was considered sinful. To take bath or wash hands was considered big taboo. Yes?
COVID restrictions. When was that?
I mean, when Columbus went to 500, more than 500 years ago. There are some descriptions, many descriptions. I mean, till today, I will not go there. No, what I meant is that still some Christians consider taking bath something that breaks the holy Sabbath of Sunday. They celebrate Sabbath.
Especially the Orthodox.
Orthodox, yeah. They don't.
Yeah.
You know, they think this is not to be done. So spices very, very important to keep some health and keep some purity and preserve them. So salt, yes. What other spices do you like?
Pepper.
Pepper, yes.
Fenugreek.
Huh?
Fenugreek, how to say?
Methi.
Methi, fenugreek. And how do you say?
Fenugreek.
Fenugreek, okay. And you said?
Coriander, cumin.
Coriander?
Cardamom.
Cardamom? Yes, cardamom. It's a famous one.
Kera.
Vanilla.
Actually, carob is local in the Mediterranean, as far as I understand. These, you still have these, what do you call them?
Beans.
How?
Beans.
Rožič.
Rožič, yeah. Okay, so these are Vyabhichari Bhavas. And what are Sattvika Bhavas?
Bodily manifestations.
Yes.
Involuntary.
Involuntary bodily transformations, yes, manifestations of ecstasy. And Anubhavas?
Triggers.
That's Uddipanas, out of Vibhavas, yes.
Oh.
And Anubhavas is on the other side.
Voluntary actions.
Voluntary actions,
Like,
or actions accompanied with intelligence, so something the person does. Like,
practice. Or
yes, for us it's practice, for them it's
natural.
they do, yes. Like singing and dancing. Okay. So we have some examples here. Sorry. An example. When a mother sees her baby dangerously crawling on the edge of a cliff, A mother's affection intensifies, drastically embellished by the flavor of extreme anxiety. This intense emotional experience corresponds to Vyabhichari Bhava, transitory emotions that result from intensified affection, which embellish and further stimulate that affection. What would be the Anubhava in that case of a mother seeing her baby crawling on the edge of a cliff?
Screaming. Screaming.
Screaming! Ah! Okay, yes, that's the Anubhava. Good. And what would be what could be a possible sattvika bhava of that mother?
Perspiration.
Perspiration, yes, good. Perspiration, changing color. Yes.
Crying.
Crying, maybe, yes. Okay. Okay, so what is the vibhava? Well,
Saving the child.
that's, yeah, seeing the child, that's Uddipana, right? Yeah, the child is crawling, she sees the child.
No, saving.
Saving.
Yeah, to go and save the child.
She tries to save the child. Okay. She tries to
Or
save the child, yes. And Sthayi Bhava, it's obvious, we say mother, so that's parental. So we have five, all the five. Right?
Trying to save the child is Anubhava or?
That was Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu's suggestion for a vibhava. You know, so what's the flow that she is saving the child?
Okay.
Okay, so that was rather understandable example, and a transcendental example when Mother Yashoda saw Krishna wrapped in the deadly coils of Kaliya. So what Vyabhicharis they manifested in the Brijbasis? Let me put.
they fainted.
They fainted. Fainting would be what bhava? It's voluntary or involuntary?
Involuntary.
So that's what bhava?
Sattvika.
Sattvika.
Sattvika bhava, yes. This is a sattvika bhava. Here. Okay. Here you have all the 33. This here. What else did they manifest? Basis?
Fear,
Fear, yes.
agitation,
Agitation,
bewilderment,
yes.
almost death.
Almost.
Not almost, death. They died. Actually died. Some of them.
Madness.
Oh, Shanka is an alarm also. So it's conch, but also
Shanka,
or is it a different word?
it's a different one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, actually,
Laughter. Balaram was laughing.
he was laughing for a purpose. He was laughing to pacify, so that they look at him. Oh, he's laughing. Okay, maybe it's not so bad as we. He had a purpose in his life. Okay, so what I want to ask you to do now is, can you please, still not fitting all of it. Why doesn't it fit? Can you read? Can you read this?
Yes.
I'm trying to fit all 33. So can you please?
Go full screen.
Hmm?
Go full screen.
F11. Oh, good. Perfect. Okay, so can you please look at these and come on. pick one that you think is the most desirable when you come back to, for you, in the spiritual world, when you go to Goloka Dham or Vaikuntha, and one that's most undesirable.
This is something that I feel, or the persons in Vrindavan.
No, you, that you would like to have, enriching your experience, and what you definitely would not like enriching your personal experience. So can everybody please write down one of the two of these, one most desirable and one most undesirable.
I have found.
Write them down. Please write them down. Actually, maybe you can send them in your chat. You got it? Everybody got it? Bhakti Akademija-Nektar, everyone? Gundamana, bro, you have? One? Well, you can pick two if you want. Okay, now maybe we can go around asking for your most desirable. I mean, there's my most desirable for myself, I'll start myself, would be one is Smriti, remembrance, and one is Mati. In other places translated as attention. Thoughtful attention. What would be your most desirable? How? Harsha. Jubilation. Jubilation. Jubilation means intense heaven. You have the same?
Yes.
Okay. It's okay, it's fine. It's
Eagerness.
Eagerness, outsukya, yeah? Utsuka, okay. Okay.
Smriti.
Smriti, okay.
Remembrance.
Danya.
Danya, humility, okay. Yours? Yeah. Some desirable you have?
I chose these two, forgetfulness and remembrance.
Forgetfulness and remembrance.
Madness is okay.
Okay. Have you picked one?
No, I just watch.
She's watching us. Makes sense. I see. But the other one, did you mention already?
I did one. The remembrance and Utsukata, eagerness.
Eagerness. Another verbal?
Desirable. Desirable. Most desirable.
Yeah,
Danya also.
Danya. Okay. Somebody online would like to share your desirables?
Danya.
Okay. Okay, now which do you find rather undesirable? Can you?
Envy.
Envy, yes.
Depression.
Depression. Oh. Garva, pride. Yes.
Laziness.
Laziness. Yes, by the way, you know that this augria, probably ferocity, means like aggression, and where is alasya, laziness. 16, alasya, and 27 are absent in Madhurya Rasa of the Vrindavan Gopis. So if you were thinking about Madhurya Rasa, think again. Be careful.
Write down.
Laziness.
Laziness, alas.
16.
Yeah.
Laziness and ferocity
Yes. It's a
they
job.
are not present.
Cut out.
We had one devotee coming that he says, I definitely don't want to be a gopi. They don't sleep, they don't eat. Day and night, they do seriously. No, I'd rather be a boy. They sleep in the night, they sleep in the day.
Sleep, eat, and play.
So that's a rather, how to say, humorous approach.
Save in the lunchbox.
I'm ready.
Based on our material vision. Okay, some other undesirable that you find not mentioned yet?
I put drowsiness, but no idea about it.
Yeah.
What does mean Shanka?
Yes. Shanka or
Waking you up all the time.
yeah, this is number 8. In the Nectar of Devotion, this is translated as
In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is apprehension.
yeah. Shanka literally means like similar to worry, scared worry, but we have worry in some other place here, so it's less intense. Shanka is intense worry, some intense worry.
Alarm.
Alarm, yes, being alarmed.
And that means almost dead.
No, fully dead.
What kind of emotion is this?
So one we mentioned, this was
Kalyan.
Kalya, and the other?
Agasura.
Agasura, yes. When they entered the belly of Agasura, they died. But then Krishna came and he looked at them and he brought them back. Same also on the bank of the Yamuna during the Kalya river.
This is even stronger than madness.
Yeah. It may be a little too strong. It's okay.
When I was wondering, when Krishna went inside Agasura to kill him, how did the boys were still there? How did he not hurt them when he was?
That was Krishna's worry. So when he saw the boys in the belly, he was prepared to kill Agasura already, and then he saw that they have all marched into Agasura's belly, and he was puzzled. He stopped for a moment. He thought, if I kill him, I will hurt them. So therefore but he found a way, so he himself entered, he revived them in the dark belly, and then he expanded. Without hurting the boys, he expanded and became hot, that Agasura choked.
But wouldn't they also be affected by the heat?
No, he was isolated.
Like Shiva.
He didn't go all the way into the belly. He just stayed in the throat, and he expanded in the throat, and that was it. Krishna is very expert.
What about laziness? You're so much in bliss that you just absorb.
This seems like a cowherd boy.
Favorite example is during the Govardhan Puja. After they worshipped Govardhan, all the Brijbasis set out for the Govardhan Parikrama. But the Brahmana said that you go and we just give you the blessings. Example.
They're not totally in bliss.
Yes.
Because they accept it.
So this is coming the spiritual world.
Okay, so you can see there is so much transcendental variety. Okay, so you mentioned any other Vyabhichari Bhava creates doubt. Do we have any other doubt about some Vyabhichari Bhava?
Envy.
Envy. Okay, we hear that there should be no envy, right? We hear that this is one thing you cannot engage in Krishna's service, and there should be no envy. So this is discussed separately. Of course, you yourself can find the answer to this regarding envy, because this is a famous part of the Madhurya Lila, having some kind of envy or jealousy. Why can't I find this? Just a second. Let me read the. So Satyabhama is given as the example. It's a famous one. My dear Krishna, since I heard Narada glorifying Rukmini before you, I can understand that there is no need of any talking about myself. This is an instance of disappointment caused by envy. Rukmini and Satyabhama were co-wives, and because Krishna was husband of both, there naturally was some feminine envy between them. So when Satyabhama heard of the glories of Rukmini, she was envious of her and thus became disappointed. Another instance of envy is from Padyavali, where one friend tells Radharani that, dear Radharani, do not be so proud that Krishna personally put tilak on your forehead, because you can see tilak is super straight and nice. What does it mean? It means he was very cool as a cucumber. He was not agitated when he was putting it. So that means he doesn't have much doesn't feel much emotion for you.
Or he was very careful.
I mean, it's the situation of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, if you do it straight, they would say, look, he couldn't even put a good So you can see, it's motivated by some. So this is a famous one about tilak. So the Vyabhichari is something very negative that in the material world we usually, and especially in spiritual life, we consider something very undesirable, envy. But in the spiritual world, this becomes just one of the ornaments that we enjoy hearing about for thousands of years. Some other undesirable that is doubtful?
Drowsiness.
Drowsiness. Well, drowsiness can be quite desirable. When in fact, cowherd boys, so that Bhakta was slightly misinformed, because the cowherd boys wake up in the middle of the night and they rush to Krishna's house and they say, "Krishna, is it time? Let's go to the pastures." And Mother Yashoda comes out, "Okay, go away. It's middle of the night. He's still in the bed." "Oh, really? Sorry." Mother Yashoda, so they go back. And then after 1 or 2 hours again, they wake up and they think, "Oh, maybe it's time." And they rush. "Go away, we will call you. You'll hear the conch when it's time." So in that case, this drowsiness will be nice.
Yeah.
At least from the point of view of Mother Yashoda.
What does haughtiness mean?
Haughtiness is a kind of pride. So let me set the. For sleepiness, we have funny. Yeah, haughtiness, that's how it's here.
So these definitions which are stated here are actually like dictionary definitions of the emotion, which is like.
Some are dictionary definitions, so.
Dynam, for example. It is a definition which is understood as an emotional state.
So here it seems that the definition itself, like for example this Dainya, is supplied by Rupa Goswami. It doesn't say that this is a quote from a dictionary or so it's given by Rupa Goswami. So you can see that Rupa Goswami, it's not the famous Amarakosha dictionary definition, but Rupa Goswami's definition that is connecting the emotion to Krishna Lila, so something that can be expanded into Krishna Lila.
How can we compare that humility from the third chapter Gita?
Yeah, because Amanitam Adambitam. In the 13th chapter, again, it's best if you refer to the original Sanskrit. Amanitam, not money, not thinking of oneself like something very important, and Adambitam, not being proud. Whereas this is Dainya. Dainya comes from the word Dina, means forlorn, very low, very poor and useless. And Dainya is that feeling, oh, I'm...
So English is not accurate enough.
Yeah. It gives you one aspect of it, but if you want to have the multi-dimensional, Sanskrit is very helpful. Yeah, we were discussing haughtiness. So here is an example. So some of the gopis once began to address Krishna with these dishonorable words. "My dear Krishna, you are a first-class thief. So please leave this place immediately. We know you love Chandravali more than us, but there is no use in praising her in our presence. Kindly do not contaminate the name of Radharani in this place." So they spoke haughtily. Because there is some quote, he said that Srimati Radharani is like a whole row of chandras, of moons. And she said, "What? Chandravali? You say the name of Chandravali praising me?" So, This is not what I meant. This is not what Yes. But you can see that it creates more variety. Okay, so 33 emotions. Oh yeah, this regarding sleepiness. There's such a very funny example from Baladeva. About Lord Balaram. So it says that this is regarding intoxication. Here you have a very important piece of information. It says that there are 3 reactions to being intoxicated. That those who are lowly people, they use vulgar language on being intoxicated, they cry, and sometimes they will fight. Those who are mediocre, they laugh and sing. And those who are exalted, they lie down and rest.
Exalted drunkard.
Very important to know. So here we have the example of Baladev who drank too much honey, and
What kind of honey is this? Can you actually get intoxicated by honey?
no, it's a mead. The English word is
medica.
mead. Medica, yeah, medica. It's a honey wine. It's not just just any sugar will create some sort of a high, but there is separate honey wine from fermented honey. So there is a quote about Lalita Madhava who drank too much honey, and he started talking to the ants. "Oh, you kings of the ants, why are you hiding yourself in these holes? Oh, King Indra, you plaything of Sachi, why are you laughing? I'm now prepared to smash the whole universe, and I know that Krishna will not be angry with me." And Krishna, tell me immediately why the whole world is trembling and why the moon has become elongated. Or you members of the Yadu dynasty, why are you laughing at me? Please give me back my liquors made of honey from the Kadamba flower. Srila Rupa Goswami prays that Lord Balaram will be pleased with all of us while he's thus talking, just like an intoxicated person. So that's an example of intoxication. But there's another example of sleepiness. So he fell asleep in the assembly hall, and in his sleep he began to talk, saying, "Oh lotus-eyed Krishna, your childhood adventures are manifest simply according to your own will. Therefore, please immediately dispose of the stubborn pride of this Kaliya serpent." So is this sleepiness good, desirable or not desirable? Is this good or not good? If some devotees fall asleep and speak about Krishna or say some prayers to Krishna.
If they're exalted, then it's good.
Do you sometimes hear some devotees sing Hare Krishna or chant Hare Krishna in their sleep?
Yes.
Yes, so you can see it's Srila Prabhupada's program, 24 hours a day. When you are awake, then you chant Hare Krishna. When you're asleep, well, you still chant Hare Krishna. If you chant enough as awake, you'll also chant it when you're asleep.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So these are the 33 Vyabhichari Bhavas. They can be either independent, they can start some action and some other anubhavas and sattvika bhavas, or they can be a side effect of one's action in Krishna consciousness and some pastime. There are some additional emotions that Rupa Goswami brings up, and then he says, okay, they are there, but he can include them into the 33 he already listed. So there is a whole, this is in the next chapter 30, explaining how these additional 13 included into the 33, famous 33. What is the use of our studying these Vyabhichari Bhavas? What is a possible...
To give up the idea that the spiritualist means one without emotions.
Yes, to give up this, as Prabhupada is saying, the Mayavadi idea that it's empty, that there is no emotion, okay? What else? I mean, there is no like one correct answer that you will be asked in the exam. Just what you think. Do you like these descriptions about Baladev addressing kings of the ants? Why are you hiding in those holes?
Yes.
So, what's the use of reading this? That we like Krishna Lila, no? This is what Prabhupada says. If you just like something about Krishna's interaction with devotees, you are guaranteed to go to the spiritual world. If you appreciate Krishna's interaction with his devotees. So, we can be reading this just to relish the tastes. Just reading about this, it helps us to experience some of the taste that the eternal associates experience. It will be mentioned in the end how there are different kinds of reflections of these emotions. So maybe I can ask you to turn to your neighbors and discuss what is the benefit of hearing descriptions of the nectar of devotion, about the Vyabhichari or Sanchari Bhavas, about these waves of emotions.
Small. Should I break into the rooms? It's 10 minutes long.
Yes, maybe put all them together.
Do you want to read the question?
Although you can see they have all ran away.
There is no sound.
No sound. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. It was the Vyabhichari of concealment, of hiding, and from your side it was Vyabhichari of eagerness. Yeah? Hare Krishna, thank you.
Maybe they didn't hear tomorrow at 12.
Pardon?
Maybe they didn't hear that tomorrow at 12.
Yeah, so tomorrow at 12, we continue tomorrow at 12. And meanwhile, please remember, you remember what was one of the undesirable Vyabhicharis? All of you remember which one you didn't like in your personal experience? So can you please read about this particular Vyabhichari that you found undesirable and in these descriptions, and see if you can find some positive manifestation of this Vyabhichari that we don't like pride, death, disease, and how it can enrich one's experience of Krishna consciousness, and if you can find some positive reflection in even our life of these undesirable Vyabhicharis, so that we can increase our appreciation. So we are studying this in order to have a deeper understanding of Krishna Lila. So if you want to analyze Krishna's pastimes, you can see that the acharyas always describe these exchanges between Krishna and devotees in terms of these 5 Vyabhicharis, 5 bhavas, 5 ingredients of rasa, of taste. But even just opening on any page and reading any of the exchanges between Krishna and his devotees, it's anyway quite moving. It touches something in our heart. It's wonderful. So if you like, that's also success. Even if you read a few lines and it touches your heart, that's most wonderful. Could even sometimes, in some cases, be enough to reach the spiritual world. So this is another application. Another application that...
say again this?
That if even several lines, any story of these, like, Baladev talking in his sleep, Balaram talking in his sleep about urging Krishna to stop playing with Kaliya. And if you like it, or chastising the ants, if you like it, it could be enough to go to the spiritual world. Because we may remember about this in the time of death, and that could be something that convinces us to keep choosing Krishna even in the moment of death. As Burijan Prabhu always says that if you heard one mantra out of your 16 rounds, this is the highest success of life. Okay, so to understand Krishna, to appreciate Krishna, that if you like, then to understand all the relationships and exchanges in general, as Srila Prabhupada writes, because all the relationships are a reflection of the spiritual world. So Prabhupada says, if you understand these relationships, you will understand all relationships everywhere. And if somebody is writing some literary compositions or doing any type of creative work, then this is supposed to be the course to help one to write properly. So basically, all the like Lego elements, Lego pieces are provided, and then you can put together a beautiful piece of art. Of course, as devotees, we want to, usually we will always do this for Krishna. We will do something for Krishna. Okay, so this is already 6. So some last questions or comments? Govinda Prabhu, you have some?
Yes, so our prayers are including in this.
Our?
Prayers.
So where are our prayers?
No, I think you mentioned this kar se reče, ustvarjalnost, creativity.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Approach Krishna.
Exactly. Thank you for bringing this up. Yes, that's an excellent comment, because somebody may say, oh, I don't write any drama, or I don't write books. But do you give lectures? Do you give a 2-minute talk to a person on the street or somebody? Or do you at least pray? Yes. So even in praying, you can try to make it attractive, beautiful for Krishna. So yes, that's another possible application. That you try to, in a prayer, if you know the science of rasa, you can make it very tasteful. Because you can see that sometimes devotees would bring something, sometimes prayers, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Swarup Damodar would say, look, you have put these pieces together that do not fit together. It's not a tasteful. We have this expression, it's not tasteful, right? So it doesn't fit together. So this will be the end of this book, different combinations, which are tasteful or which are not tasteful. So we try to make it as tasteful as possible for Krishna's pleasure. You had some comment?
No, I was just wondering, you said that if you hear just one mantra during these 16 rounds, that you go back to spiritual.
Burijan Prabhu said that it's the highest success.
What does this mean to hear it?
To hear?
Yeah, to actually hear it. Well, is this something more than or just to connect?
How do you connect with this emotion?
Well,
How deep you must
you will have clear Sadhana. Okay, we'll check. No, I didn't. No, look. Okay, see?
It's because of the cold.
Oh,
In my case, I don't know.
Yes. But in general, this is the first meeting place with Krishna in the holy name, and it means that you realize that this is Krishna. You have no doubt. You are 100%. There's no question. Is it Krishna or is it not Krishna? You experience
the name.
The name. Yes. That's the first meeting, and it's possible even on the rather initial beginner's platform, because the smallest penny, the smallest coin with which you can bind one true, real name is Shraddha, which is even before, and you can see about so many abhasas, rati abhasas. Also in this chapter, almost in every chapter, he says, okay, these are 3 types of some reflected sattvika, or reflected vyabhichari, or reflected this. And some of them are among non-devotees. And when you were studying the first part of the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 18, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that if you have a reflected glimpse of ecstasy, for a person who makes no offenses, it can quickly transform into the real rati. Only if you make offenses, then it wilts, and we have to do go the long way. But otherwise, every glimpse is super valuable and can quickly drive one to perfection. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Recipe of rasa ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha. Kripa sindhu. Vaishnava.
So when is this?